Who's waiting? Give us a sign. Is anyone here? Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Sound test.
Sound test. So we have two thumbs up. Let's see. Stream has started.
Refresh.
Refresh. Nice. So it's working.
Yes. Cool.
So it's always like, what do you do the first when you start a call online? You ask if you can hear me, not hello, right?
All right, so I guess we have 4 or 5 people watching, so that's definitely someone else except the 4 of us, which is already, I guess, a success. Yeah, whoever you are, that's one person or more, welcome to the first online edition of View Zurich. Yes, with everybody else these days, we're going to try and do a YouTube stream, and we'll see how it goes. And yeah, the whole YouTube setup and the whole streaming setup has been an idea and a child of Alexei, who has been researching the microphones and streaming software for months before organizing this. So big kudos to him. And also thanks to Alexei, we're going to have 2 awesome external speakers here today for the first time on this meetup. Not someone from Zurich, not even someone from other Swiss city, but we're going to have Debbie O'Brien from Nuxt.js team joining us from Mallorca, right, Debbie? Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
And we're having Samuel Snopko joining us from Vienna. Samuel is from Storyblok, as it says on the t-shirt.
Hi.
How are you doing, guys?
Good.
Good, thank you.
Thank you a lot for joining. And since we're going to be talking about static generated sites, I'm just going to get down to business right away. Nuxt and JAMstack, just because we don't know what kind of people are going to join the stream, can you guys maybe say a few words on what the hell is JAMstack exactly?
Well, I'm actually going to tell you all about it in my talk. So if you're going to stay for the stream, then you're going to hear all about it.
All right, great. So no spoilers there. And do you have any stories and like war stories? How did you arrive at a setup with the static sites? Or is it also part of the talk? Am I spoiling everything now?
Yes, it's so easy. There's no war.
Great. So Alexei and I have been at View Amsterdam this year in February, and this is where we learned that Debbie has joined the Nuxt team. We have seen the initiation ritual straight on the stage. You're an awesome dancer, Debbie. How has it been since then? How is working in Nuxt team?
Well, it's been amazing because in Amsterdam, I just became part of the team. And then just after that, because then they got the funding, right? So Nuxt now has the company. And then they offered me the full-time job. So now I'm working full-time. I'm getting paid to just do Nuxt all day, every day. So just imagine, it's amazing.
That sounds pretty awesome. All right. So I'm not sure, should we start at 7 with the talks? Do you guys want to have a little chat, or are we good to go? What do you think? How many people are watching? Otherwise, I'm going to ask another question, like the dummy prep, because Samuel has written in his description that people have to come prepared for his talk. What is a headless CMS, and why is it cool?
Are you now asking me?
Oh, yeah?
Oh, I was not sure now. Yeah, why is headless CMS cool? Oh, there are many reasons why it's cool, but I think because it's the most important thing for me as a developer was that it's decoupled. So I was coding a lot of years before I started with the headless CMSs, and basically, for me it was always like hard that I couldn't use Nuxt.js with the CMS Nuxt.js, for example, which I found, and then I was like, oh, I cannot use it because it's so complicated to get the data from this CMS to the Nuxt.js, and it was always getting hard, and then I was looking for the right solution for that, and then I found JAMstack and the headless CMS approach, and then the rise of all the headless CMSs, and at the end I just found Storyblok. I started to advocating for it. I was using and writing some articles, and it was very similar story as Debbie. They just asked me, hey, don't you want to work for us? And as they get the funding, so I was exactly as Debbie, basically. They started a real company, and now we are working and building a new big thing. I hope so.
Nice.
And yeah, that's it.
That sounds like we've got 2 success stories on our hands.
Hopefully.
Yeah, this is very inspiring. And I see currently we have someone watching us from South Africa. So it's quite interesting. Yeah, cool.
Maybe that's a VPN.
Maybe.
And I have to say, I have never used Storyblok, so I'm really looking forward to your talk as well, because I'm actually going to learn something too.
I know. I was always like thinking that you should try it. You will love it. Yeah, I think like as soon you will see it, you will love it, because it's I was looking and I was like doing a lot of research like before I joined Storyblok. So this is like right now opinionated, but before that, and I was like, wow, this is how it should be, and this is exactly because. You will see. I will not spoil it.
I've only had experience with WordPress headless, so imagine what it's been like.
Yeah, I remember when I first heard about like the headless CMS a couple years ago. I tried Storyblok. I tried some different ones, and there's no way to go back to normal CMS again. Like this is like one-way street. If you start using it, it's like Nuxt or Storyblok, then there's no way back. You are basically sold.
I think the Nuxt and Storyblok, they are like great match together. Yeah. So
yes, I cannot even imagine starting a new project without not choosing one of you.
Yeah,
basically.
honestly, as I started with the Vue.js, I basically write Vue.js code like for 2 weeks, and I found Nuxt.js, and I think from that point of time I should say I'm Nuxt.js developer and not a Vue.js developer anymore. So
cool. So let me see
and
what.
There's so much exciting things coming in Nuxt as well. Like just like watch out for what's coming, because it's just going to get even more amazing.
Wow. So he is not VPN. He's a real person.
Yes, from South Africa.
So hello everyone.
This is how Vue Zurich goes global suddenly.
Yeah, it's fantastic to have new people. We are not just Vue Zurich, like we are World Zurich, so no. Nice.
Yeah. All right. So I'm actually kind of scared of asking questions pre-talk at this moment because I'm afraid to spoil the awesome things.
No, you can ask something else. Like
ask whatever.
Like what? Give me a hint.
Like the Tailwind now. This is a big thing for me. Like for the last project, I tried Tailwind, and I was like, wow, this is this is like 3 technologies that match, and I cannot start the project without all these 3 technologies together right now. So sorry.
All right. So then the question is for both of you, what are you guys super excited about apart from what you're guys presenting? So Tailwind, something else?
Something that's not Nuxt. Oh my God, that's complicated. But Tailwind, I'm with you on that. Tailwind is amazing. And yeah, I use it in all my projects, and it's just so much quicker to get things done. I'm really excited about just full static with Nuxt, to be honest. And I haven't really had time to play around with things that are not Nuxt, so I can't really. But next month I'll be doing a lot of stuff with integrations. I'll be working with Storyblok, with other stuff. So that will be exciting.
That sounds cool. What other things Nuxt is planning to do an integration with?
Well, I've got to just figure out everything possible that we can, and just like kind of create some sort of like really cool demos and some code and stuff, and just kind of like for a documentation as well, to have all these kind of like integration partner sites, so that anyone who wants to learn, say, Storyblok, just on the Nuxt site, they can see how easy it is to work with that. And then every other kind of like, say, headless CMS and everything in general. So, Tailwind, for example, Like there's so much we can do with Nuxt, right? So it's just like a year's work in that.
Anything with GraphQL maybe?
Yeah, like Hasura. Hasura at the moment is probably, that would have been a better answer earlier. Hasura is amazing. So I've been working a lot with Hasura and then using GraphQL and Apollo then to show it on the front end. So definitely building more Hasura things is cool. Hasura is like, if for those who don't know what it is, it's basically for people like me, we can build like backend and build endpoints like with having no backend experience. So it's really, really cool.
Yep. Yeah.
I think one day we will have Hasura as well, because Marion is a good friend of us. And she works for Hasura, so yeah.
She's super excited.
Hi.
Yeah, the world is smaller. So we have now 15 viewers, I think, and we have some more people.
And counting.
Nice, and 16 and growing. Nice.
Still 2 minutes to go.
In Switzerland are on time. When we hold meetups in Spain, they normally like start coming 10 minutes after and then 15.
Oh, really? We will see how it will work out. So maybe Olga, you can tell how the schedule will be and
exactly. So since we're getting closer to 6, we're going to start with Debbie's talk about the static sites and why are they awesome and why are they performing so well. And after that, we're going to have a short Q&A session. So please post your questions to the YouTube live chat or to Slack of Web Zurich. We have a channel there that is called View Zurich. We're going to read some questions from there as well. Yeah, I guess this is pretty much it. So quite easy. Watch the stream, listen to Debbie, start using Nuxt, and yeah, I guess without further ado, let's roll. Ready?
Okay, the stage is yours, Debbie.
I'm gonna start sharing my screen. Are you ready? Let's hope this all works. This is like the hardest thing ever with presenting. So it's working, right?
Yes, okay. See your screen.
Great, so here goes. Static sites equals great performance with Nuxt.js. So a little bit about me. My name is Debbie O'Brien. I'm head of learning and developer advocate at Nuxt.js. I contribute to Webpack, a writer at Ultimate Courses, a teacher at Vue School, organizer on Mallorca.js and Vue Spain. And you can follow me, Debbie O'Brien, on LinkedIn or Debs_O'Brien on Twitter. I'm also a Cloudinary media developer expert, a Google developer expert, and a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional. So today we are going to get rid of the lamp.
Yay.
We're going to get rid of the mean. No more mean, guys. And we're going to let the jam take over. I really hope you like jam. So what we'll cover, we're going to cover the new front end, static versus dynamic. I'm going to show you a little case study and some performance tips and some useful links at the end, which I'll share the slides. So what has changed? So basically, everything now is pre-rendered at build time. We build things ahead of time. We send them to a CDN so they can get to the browser quicker. And sites are served statically, so we don't need to perform any execution at request time on some kind of like server. And that just simplifies deployment. So all like functionality is now on the client side. Like things that were traditionally processed in the backend now takes place in the browser. For example, form validations, we can do that on the front end. And like payments, we can just like, call out to an API for payments. Talking about APIs, it really is all about the APIs. Like with JAMstack, we access data through APIs. And like the modern browser environment allows us to build really powerful applications. And there's so many APIs out there, and they're just absolutely amazing. So like before implementing like search functionalities, it was really hard work. But now we've got like Angolia and really cool APIs that do that for us. And they like specialize in that. So they do it really, really, really well. Like payments, for example, using Stripe API, for example, authentication, we've got Auth0, for example, and so many more. So yeah, the APIs are making our JAMstack world amazing. So thanks to them, we can do so much in the front end. So what do we gain by going JAMstack? Well, we have improved security because like with static generated sites, there's a smaller attack vector and it improves our performance. We've got much more performant websites. We've got a better developer experience as well. Because like going JAMstack means all our front-end code is like only our front-end code, right? We don't have all that like PHP code and all that back-end code and trying to find our front-end code mixed in the middle of all that. And we've got easy deployment because now we just have to deploy our front-end code and the back-end is deployed somewhere else and we don't have to worry about it. So what is the definition of static? Lacking in movement, action, or change, especially in an undesirable or uninteresting way. Oops. Well, that's kind of not really very good, is it? So how are we going to sell this to our clients? How are we now going to go to our clients and say, I'm going to build a static site. I'm going to build you a site that's lacking in movement, action, or change in an undesirable and uninteresting way? Let's just talk about Taekwondo instead. So I'm a 4th-degree Taekwondo black belt. So in Taekwondo, we perform patterns, right? And at the end of your pattern, you have to remain in a very static position. So you remain in that position until the master, the judge, calls paro, which means to relax. And you'd have to like hold that position for quite a while, especially if like you were performing against somebody else or other people are taking longer to do. So, you know, sometimes you kind of say Taekwondo is static, right? So if you're looking at this punch, that movement, that end movement of that pattern, he ends in that static position. But we also have dynamic positions, right? So I'm going to show you a dynamic position and just think about how this person is going to end in a static position. See that? It's just not possible, right? There's no possible way she can stay holding that position, waiting for the other people to finish the pattern. So that means Taekwondo is static and Taekwondo is dynamic, depending on when we look at it, right? Kind of cool, eh? Let me show you another example. So again, talking about Taekwondo, we've got static, dynamic. I'm going to do it as well. Look, static, dynamic, static, dynamic, static, dynamic. Okay, that's basically what we have to think about when we think about our websites. We think about Taekwondo. Check what this example is as well. Hang on, I'm going the wrong way. 1, 2, 3. We're going the wrong way. The Taekwondo dynamicness has taken over and made everything so dynamic.
No worries.
So we are here. Are you ready? Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. It's just this kick. This kick is so powerful. Are you ready for it? Look at that out. Check that out. So this is what I mean when it goes to dynamicness and staticness. So we're going to come up, we're doing that kick. And that's basically what I mean when we're talking about static and dynamic. One moment you're static, then you're dynamic, then you're static, then you're dynamic, then you're static, then you're dynamic. But basically, that's what I'm trying to say. Static is the new dynamic, right? So you probably wouldn't believe me if I told you this, but you know, we used to build sites in the 90s and they used to be like really static and really boring. But nowadays we can do so much more with static sites. And a static site, it's basically just, it's going to a CDN and it's getting all that information that we've already pre-rendered. It's already up there and we're just bringing it down. Like we don't need a server anymore. And I mean, I used to work in a place where the server was in the office, right? Now imagine that nowadays we're all in this kind of locked up environment. Imagine if we had the server in the office, we wouldn't be able to go there and like, you know, yeah, we don't need a server anymore. So this is kind of really important. So, you know, we've got all these superpowers because of all this static sites that don't need to be on servers. And let me just go back to Taekwondo again. This is going to show you a little bit. So if you think about the website, think about a Taekwondo person, what they're doing is they're jumping up and they're basically getting you all that data from the APIs at build time. They're going up, they're getting it all, they're coming back down, and then they have all the information you need. So basically, when we're talking about building static sites, we're talking about a Taekwondo person jumping up, getting the data, coming back down. Taekwondo person jumping up, getting that data, coming back down. So every time we generate our site, every time we build our static site, we're just sending a Taekwondo person up to the APIs, get everything they need, and then they basically, there's your site ready to go. So basically, generating static sites is so much fun. It's just about Taekwondo. It's cool. I would have done this if we had been on a stage in a meetup, but like because we're virtual, can't do it. Sorry. Okay, so basically, push and deploy. That is all we have to do. When we decouple the front end from the back end, every git push turns into a deploy. So we increase our confidence because we know it's going to be okay. Where our front end is going, the staging environment is the same, and it all just works perfect. We can basically deploy anywhere, anytime. Now, normally I would say We can even deploy when we're on a plane, but right now nobody can get on a plane. But we can deploy while we're sitting at home and just as well, because imagine if we couldn't do that, we would all be like in trouble right now. So also, yeah, you have to do a lot of deployment, but you've got webhooks. So you can build a webhook. So every time your content changes, you build this webhook and it just basically kind of just sends that taekwondo person up there and comes back down again, and you don't have to be the person to go jump up and get it. So the webhooks will do that on content change. So yeah, that's a lot of generation with static sites, right? But you know, take it easy. Don't worry about it. Like I said, the taekwondo person is trained to be able to just jump up and get that data. So you don't have to worry about generating that site. Don't worry about it. You're not doing any work at all. And then your user is basically getting a much better experience. So think of them. So let's talk about going Nuxt. So Nuxt is not just a static site generator, right? Nuxt is a progressive Vue.js framework, which basically means you're writing your code in Vue.js. So if you're already using Vue, then you can just use Nuxt straight away. What are the benefits of Nuxt? Well, you get like file-based routing. So now basically you just put like a page into the pages folder, and then you have automatic routing, and that is amazing. I built the Vue.js router course for Vue School, and I know how painful it is and how much work is involved in maintaining your router.js file. With Nuxt, you don't have to do that. It does it for you. It basically also has automatically code splitting of those routes. You don't even have to think about doing anything like that. It just gets done for you. And there's so many more benefits, such as prefetching. Prefetching means Nuxt goes ahead and gets those links ahead of time. So as you're scrolling, it can already see that it's going to need the pages at the bottom, the copyright page that are in your footer, for example. It starts prefetching them and getting that ready to be served up. So it just makes it even more performant. And there's like more than 50 modules. I mean, we have modules for a progressive web app. We can set that up in seconds. We've got Google Analytics. We've got a sitemap. There's so many modules, even Tailwind module. So cool. So yeah. So what do? Do you do server-side rendering, single-page application, or static? Because with Nuxt, you can do all of them. And that's the kind of cool thing. That's why I say Nuxt.js is not a static site generator. It is so much more than that. And that basically means that if you're building your website already and you've got a website built in Nuxt and it's already, say, server-side rendered, for example, so you've got your mode universal, you can just change it easily. You can change it to a single-page application by just going mode SVA. And then if you wanted to statically generate your site, you would need mode universal, and then you would put static site Nuxt generate. So normally you would have build here to build the server-side rendered or build the single-page application. You just have to do Nuxt generate, and then bang, you have a static site. It's as simple as that. Now, although I'm telling you this is going to change very, very, very soon, because the static module is coming out very, very soon. So just keep an eye on those commands, because they will change, but it still will be as simple as this, just a little bit, few different words, but as simple as this. That's all you've got to do. So you've got no excuses. You can just just convert all your sites to static sites right now. So let's talk a little bit about case study. This is something we built, Patterson.Travel, and it's built with Nuxt. So basically it is a...
Sorry, I couldn't add that to your up next list.
Oh, Siri's talking to me. Siri wants to be part of this talk. Sorry about that. So Patterson Travel is built with Nuxt, right? And basically, it's a travel agency website. And you can kind of say, you built a travel agency website as a static site? Yes, we did. So it basically has, it has a blog and events. It has case studies. It's built in 3 languages, and it has 144 generated pages, because we don't just generate one page for the blog, right? We generate a page for each category, a page for each post. And it took about 74 seconds to generate. So kind of not too long. So Patterson Travel, just to kind of give you an example of the kind of size of the website, there was 5 layouts, 32 page components. There's about 38 components, 8 plugins, 9 modules, and there was 21 pages of docs, because I was using Vue docs inside my Nuxt.js application, because you can actually do that. Yeah, you can put Vue docs inside your Nuxt. Although there's something cool coming out very soon in Nuxt. Watch this space. I would say this week, next week, week after, maximum week after, it's going to be released. And you're never going to need to, put Vue docs into your Nuxt.js application. So watch this space. And writing Markdown is going to be so much more fun in Nuxt. Anyway, getting back to it, the booking engine. We had a booking engine in our static site. Now you're probably thinking, hang on a second. Yes, we could reserve a hotel, search for hotel, add extras like t-shirts, check out and receive a confirmation of the purchase of this hotel and this event. But like, hang on a minute, how did you do that with a static site? That's because our booking engine was a single page application. And now you're looking at me saying, huh, what, seriously? Yes, a single page application inside a static site. How on earth did we do that? Like, seriously, can you do that? In Nuxt you can, and that's what makes it really, really, really cool. So you can basically do this really simply by using the SPA fallback. So in your Nuxt config file, for example, you have a generate property. So you just write the generate property. And I'm using fallback true here because I'm using Netlify. But if you were deploying to another hosting service, you might need to put the fallback as 404.html. 200 HTML is the default one. So you can leave it out if that's what you want. And then you just exclude the pages or folder that you want to exclude. So here I'm excluding everything with booking, so the booking folder, the booking page, etc. You can use a regex expression, and here you can kind of exclude more. Obviously, it's an array, so you can exclude more than one. And basically, yeah, you can just exclude them. So they will not be generated as static pages, which means they will then just work as single page application, which is really, really cool. So how does it work exactly? Well, basically, we pre-render the site. So every time we pre-render the site, everything is generated at build time. So we got our data. Remember, the Taekwondo person jumped up there, got the data, made that API call. We now have everything we need for the page. Then when the user visits the page, Vue's hydration kicks in. That's what kind of makes everything dynamic. And then basically on content update, the API, it calls on navigation. So basically the way Nuxt works here is that when we first go to the page, we're getting the data from that Taekwondo person. It's already rendered, already there. But every time we click on navigation, we're calling our API. So every time we go to a new page and there's a call to an API, we're calling that API. We're going up, we're sending the Taekwondo person back up there. So we're static, and we're kind of not really static, right? It's kind of like this is going on all the time, which kind of makes it a bit false really in how it works, right? And when it comes to static sites. So just to kind of give you an idea, I'm going to show you what it looks like. So if we were to look at the network tab, for example, you would see that it's calling our API each time. And you can see that in your Nuxt application. If you're calling an API, just look at your network tab, change your page, and you'll be able to see like that it's calling that API all the time. So I just want full static, right? I don't want to call the API every time I navigate to a page. I want to be full static. And that's what we have been working on at Nuxt. Full static is on its way. It's going to be released, I don't know, next week or the week after. Like it's literally there. We've been playing around with it. I've already been having fun with it, and it is so amazingly cool. I'm so excited about it. Like I'm seriously so excited for everyone to try this out because it's so cool. It's like one API call on build. That basically means you don't need a team of Taekwondo people. You need one Taekwondo person on build, go up, get all that data, and then instead, you're just going to call the payload on navigation instead of the API. So you're basically going to have all your API calls saved in your payload. It's going to be in this folder. And then every time you change the page, it doesn't have to call the API because it's already got all the data it needs. It's already saved. It's already cached, which is just amazing. The static module is coming soon, like seriously, so soon. Like just to give you an idea of how it works. So in your like say payloads folder, it's going to save like a page and a payload JSON inside for every one of those pages. And then when you call it in your network tab, instead of seeing that API call, you will actually see that it's calling the payloads folder instead. So this might change. It could be called static folder or something like that. But basically that's what it's doing. It's making that call internally, and it's not having to call the API. And this is what makes it so performant, because it's like API calls have latency, for example, and you've got better offline support, right? Because you have all the data you need. You don't need to send the Taekwondo person up in the middle of your website to get that data. So yeah, full static, amazing. Like static sites in general are just triple equals great performance. And this was the performance we were getting from our website. And we're kind of really, really proud of this. It's not easy to get, and I encourage you to try your best to get it. Don't worry if you're not getting 100 all the time, but at least try and get to be in green. Nuxt makes it easy for you to have great performance on static sites, especially. And with the full static option, well, without even calling the API, I mean, yeah, it just really, really improves. So check out Chrome DevTools, the Lighthouse, and keep just checking your performance regularly. For accessibility, always think about accessibility. Write semantic HTML, write labels for forms, area tags, alt tags. Now you're probably like kind of saying, yeah, we know all this. Why are you telling us this? But are you actually doing it? Are you actually building your applications from the start and thinking about your accessibility and thinking about these things? Or are you kind of adding in your alt tags later and your area tags later? Think about accessibility from the start. It's really, really, really important. Chrome dev tools for accessibility. So think about color contrast. And this is really, really easy to kind of look at because Chrome just gives us these really great tools, right? And you can hover over and you can see the contrast. So you can see here I have like AA, which is like 5.04, and it's got a green tick. So that green tick means that color is okay, that gray and that background is okay. Now, it wasn't when we first deployed the website, it was in red. And it was pointed out to us and said, like, you know, okay, that's gray. Someone might actually have an issue of seeing that color. And just by changing it a little bit, our designer didn't even really notice the difference. I mean, you're talking about a slight change in that gray, and that will help so many people. So I really, really encourage you to do that. Auto-optimize your images. This is seriously so easy. I use Cloudinary. Cloudinary is amazing. And basically, you're just putting all your images into Cloudinary. And then you can use like Q_auto and F_auto. What that will do is it will automatically get the best quality that you need for that photograph or that image. And it will give you the right format, the best format. So if you're on Chrome, for example, you get a WebP. And if you're on, I don't know, Internet Explorer, for example, if that still exists, then you'll get like a JPEG instead. So Cloudinary, seriously encourage it. It's going to like really, really improve your performance. Lazy load your images. Like seriously, loading equals lazy. It's so easy. So just don't be lazy. Start lazy loading them. PWA, progressive web app. This is like, you know, just really, really, really amazing. So with Nuxt, it's really easy to add a progressive web app. You just have to add the module. So yarn add or npm install, and then you just have to put it into your Nuxt config, into the modules. You put this Nuxt.js PWA in, and then it's really hard work now. You're going to have to add the icon.png to the static folder. That's the hardest thing you've got to do. It's like got to be about 512 pixels by 512 pixels. You put that in there, and then it's automatically going to create all those icons for you of those different sizes. So you don't even have to do that. It does everything else for you. It is amazing. So seriously, like PWA, if I said 2 minutes, in 2 minutes you got a PWA setup. Seriously, check it out. It's so cool. CSS Stats. So remember that CSS is one of the most time consuming to load. So by using utility classes, you can greatly reduce your CSS. So our CSS, for example, was 7 KBs, like, you know, really, really, really easy to use. And that was because of the Tailwind and Purge CSS. So really encourage you to check the size of your CSS, make sure you're not shipping too much. With modern mode, Nuxt has modern mode. What that does is it means it builds 2 bundles, one for the modern browsers like Chrome and another for those other browsers that need all those extra kind of stuff, you know, to make things work. So it's really easy in Nuxt to do this. You just have to put --modern or -m for short at the end of your build command, or generate command if you're using static sites. And then basically what that will do is we'll build a client, a modern, and a server. So now I've got that modern bundle. So yeah, start using modern mode today. It's so, so cool. It should be there by default. It's not. Maybe it will in the future, but for now you've got to manually do it. Code split from the start. Now this sounds like really, really kind of, yeah, code split from the start. Okay, are we doing this, right? What I mean is, if you've got a footer component, code split that footer component as you're like adding it into your page. Because, for example, that footer normally is not going to be seen until you scroll. So you don't need that loaded up front. So by code splitting it, it's going to be putting it down there, and it's not going to be sent to the browser until it's needed. So obviously your hero component or your header component, you won't be code splitting, but any of those other components like modals, drop downs, footer components, then start code splitting them from the start. Lazy load your translations. So if you're working with internationalization, then in Nuxt, it's so easy to lazy load your translations, like lazy true. That's all you got to do. It's so, so simple. So seriously, start lazy loading your translations. Tailwind and Purge CSS. Now, Nuxt has a module for Tailwind, and it's absolutely amazing. Now, this slide is actually out of date, so I'm going to show you something, and don't look at it because it doesn't exist anymore, because it was like changed literally like 3 days ago. So this does not exist. But basically, with the new Tailwind, if you're using the old version, this is what you will have to do. If you do update, it's a breaking change. So just if you're updating to the Tailwind CSS module, the version 2, it is a breaking change, and you will have like the purge CSS instead of being here in the Nuxt config. It's actually going to be in the Tailwind config, and that's a change that Tailwind have made. So just check that out. And before you kind of like before you update it, just kind of read the docs and stuff. But it's not going to break your site as such, but basically Purge CSS has been removed, will be removed like from Nuxt, for example, and it's just in the Tailwind itself. So, because, yeah, now Tailwind has it, it's just amazing. So, yeah, update with that. Tailwind, Purge CSS, absolutely fantastic, highly recommend it. Webpack analyzer. So analyze your code. We should be analyzing your code. It's really easy in Nuxt. You just have to do Nuxt build and -a, and then basically you will get this. And what was happening here was we were loading Moment.js with every single language under the sun. We were not shipping our site with all these languages. So this was really, really key to be able to see like what we were shipping. And we were able to go through the Webpack analyzer and just kind of analyze our code. And then we were able to change it and say, oh, we just can add looks on, and then we don't need, to add all those other ones. So seriously, Webpack analyzer, it's -a or -- analyze, and you'll be able to analyze your bundles and see what you're shipping. So JAMstack, like, do we need it? Hell yeah. Are you taking the fight? I am taking the fight. It's going to be a fight when you go back there into your offices, or you're virtually in your virtual offices, and you say, I want to build a static site. I want to convert our company site or our client site into a static site. It's going to be a fight because they're not going to know all that we know. They're not going to be as clever as you. You're going to have to be able to teach them everything that you know about static sites so you can do that. But seriously, I have one serious big question for you. And the question, are you ready? Are you Nuxt? Like, seriously, are you Nuxt? Because we are. We're Nuxt. I want you all to be Nuxt. I hope you are all Nuxt. You have like no excuses right now. You should be able to go out there and start building Nuxt sites. Thank you very much. And yeah, I'm really, really excited to see all those amazing things that you're all going to build. Thank you.
Woohoo! Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you. That's fantastic.
We are definitely Nuxt. I think.
So and now we are all Nuxt.
Yay! We got all Nuxt hats on. Yay!
So.
Yeah, I have to say, like, thanks first of all for amazing presentation. And if I learned one thing, is that the data is being fetched by a Taekwondo person. So yeah. This is what I'm gonna tell to my mom, to my friends from now on. And yeah, I really I'm a fan of Nuxt myself, and I had to like put some content online a few days ago, and I took Nuxt and went for a static site, and the thing was live in like less than 1 hour, which I mostly spent on fighting the Google Fonts performance, but that's another story. All right, so yeah, it's really cool to see the full static support coming in Nuxt. Any estimates on when we can expect that?
We're literally fixing one thing that's not working how we want it to work, and once that gets fixed, it's going to be live. So I mean, literally, like, the tests have been written. There's probably a little bit more work on documentation, the little usual things, but it's like we're so close. I mean, I've been talking about full static for months, right? So people who are out there probably kind of go, Debbie, you've been talking about this for so long, but it's such an amazing module, and so much more work has gone into it to make it even better, that like when I first started talking about it, the plan for it wasn't even as good as what it is now. Like, I didn't mention in this talk, but for example, there's a crawler. So you're not going to have to write like, generate your routes and write all your generate routes for all those dynamic routes that we used to have to do. Forget it. You don't need to do it. It's just going to crawl them all for you, which makes it even more, it's sexy. It's so like cool. Like, I'm so excited to see everyone use it.
Amazing. All right, we have a few questions coming in. I'm going to start reading them just one by one. So Dmitro is writing, Debbie, thanks for the great talk. What would you recommend with Nuxt if one wanted to get a wiki-like workflow where content is created in Markdown files to back the pages in Nuxt? That sounds interesting.
Okay. No, I'm not going to say use Storyblok. I'm going to say, wait I know. Yeah, you could use Storyblok. But I'm going to say that we are creating something that's going to be released very soon. Maybe next week, maybe the week after, literally very, very soon, this month for sure. And that's going to make your life easier when it comes to Markdown. So before, writing Markdown in Nuxt was a bit of a pain. We had to use the Nuxt Markdown. It wasn't fun, right? And I'm not saying that we're taking over from Storyblok, because obviously we're not. Storyblok is amazing and that has its place. But what I'm saying is sometimes you just have a little bit of content in your site that you just want to be using Markdown. You don't want to use a CMS, and you're not going to have to do this. So with this new thing that's coming very, very soon, you'll be able to write Markdown a lot easier than before. And I can say that it's faster than ViewPress, because it doesn't even have to go through Webpack, for example. So it's really, it's amazing.
Sweet. Thank you, Debbie. So there's a good question from from South Africa, if I'm not mistaken. It goes like this. So where do I start? This sounds so cool. Understand what you are saying, but not sure how to implement. Do you have a good starter repository on GitHub?
So there's a link on my slides, and I can share them. And I've created like a boilerplate. So Chris Fritz from Vue, he created like the Vue Enterprise boilerplate, and I Nuxtified it. And it's basically just for playing around with it. I'm not saying to use it to start. I'm saying to like clone it, download it, and play around and break it and have fun and use it as a playground. And then when you want to create your own, just follow the docs in creating your own one, and then you'll kind of feel a bit more at home because you'll have seen how to do things. The documentation for Nuxt, in my opinion, are good. They're not great. We're improving them so much. They could be so much better, but they're still pretty good to get started with. You can also reach out on Discord. We have our Discord channel, so you can ask any question there. We always have someone helping out. Vue School and Vue Mastery also have courses on Nuxt, so you can check them out as well. But reach out if you get stuck, because seriously, using Nuxt is so easy that I think you're just going to be able to just get started quite quickly.
All right. Thanks for that. And we got another one from Theo. I'm also interested to know about routing. Can you still use explicit routing to implement permissions, for example?
Yeah, so I mean, you have full access to the router property in the Nuxt config. So you can do whatever you want in there. You can even modify the whole routing system if you want. And you can use middleware, for example, for your authorization routes. So there's so much you can do with routing. So although I'm saying that routing is done for you, all the easy kind of stuff is done for you, but obviously for permissions and stuff like that, you have to do a little bit of work. And you can use middleware, and you can use the router property, and you can play around with it. And you can do a lot with the configurations. So the docs kind of explains that as well.
Thanks for that. And I actually can add on that, because I just tried it recently for my own project. It's really as easy as specifying your dynamic route patterns as you would normally do in Vue.js in router config. And if you want to pre-generate them, if you're using static setup, you could also specify the list of what exactly you want to pre-generate. So it's very declarative and pretty easy to start with. So good luck with that.
And with the full static module that's coming out soon, you won't need to write those dynamic routes in that generate function, because it's just going to automatically do it for you.
Sweet.
I know. Wait.
It's getting better and better.
Okay, questions keep coming. So Edmund is asking, Debbie, how would you recommend I go about an application with a home page that I want to be static and a dashboard with routes and nested children that should be SPA? Do I need to set the fallback for all routes?
So you just exclude so for example, you could just put them in an admin folder and then just exclude admin. And then basically everything that's in that folder is just going to be excluded. So you could do that.
Can you do it with a regex?
Yeah, you could put in a regex expression. Yeah, you can put in anything that begins with, I can't explain by voice a regex expression, right? But la la la, and then dash test, for example, and then everything with dash test is not going to be generated.
All right. So thank you very much, Debbie. I guess if we have more questions, we can try again after at the end of the meetup. And right, so Nuxt is gonna give us the easy support for Markdown, but what if that is not enough, right? So here's Samuel is gonna tell us about how awesome Storyblok is, when are we gonna need it, and how to use it. So Samuel, over to you, I guess.
Hi everybody. Hi, lovely people. I'm happy to join you, and I hope so that you see my screen. Do you see the screen?
It's on.
It's on. Great. So first of all, I'm Nuxt. I'm definitely Nuxt. I'm using Nuxt for a few years, and I'm advocating for Nuxt already at least like 3 years. And yeah, I'm loving also headless CMSs, and I find basically at the end I find a passing love, and this is basically Storyblok. And I'm going to talk about the Blazingly Fast or Fast and Furious and how to go headless with the Storyblok and with Nuxt. In my case, it will be Storyblok because I'm a little bit biased. As disclaimer, I joined the Storyblok team this year in January, and before that, I was like working exactly a lot of you as a front-end knight because I like Star Wars, so I'm knight definitely as front-end knight and not a developer. And I was talking a lot of the design ops, and then I was looking for the headless CMS solutions because I love to decouple everything. I didn't like that everything is coupled together and was like complicated. And I found the Nuxt.js, and then I was looking for the best solutions there. And then I found a headless approach and JAMstack. And this is also why I am the JAMstack lover. So I have here also the cool stickers. And then I'm advocating for Vue.js, Nuxt.js. I'm trying also other technologies right now because of my current job. So, but still, I'm in love with the Nuxt.js. So, I don't like a lot of slides. I don't know why. I just like really practical talks, and I'm usually jumping right directly into the code and I'm explaining. So usually my slides have like 7 slides. My talks have 7 slides, and the rest of it's in the code. So let's jump to the live coding and start the project from the scratch. It's not Nuxt.js project from the scratch and connected with us headless CMS. In 30 minutes, I tried to create a website which is connected with headless CMS that we could deploy to anywhere like Netlify or NowSH or other services like that. And it already should have articles and with featured section for the articles on the homepage with little bit of styling of the Tailwind CSS. So what we do as a first, and I should look here. So first, you are going to start it, and I'm encouraging you to just use the Nuxt app. Just create Nuxt apps using the YAR or npm. It's up to you. I just jumped to the correct folder, and now we are going to just create the Nuxt app. And as you jump using the Nuxt app, the first of you is like a project name, description. I'm not going to change. I will be the author. I stick usually with the JavaScript because I don't need the types for now still. I prefer Yarn, and then as I said, you should go for Tailwind CSS. We don't need today any server frameworks. I'm definitely encouraging you for the .env because you should store there your tokens, which we will be using to connect our headless CMS, in our case Storyblok, with the Nuxt.js, and it shouldn't be stored basically in somewhere in your code because then this could be harmful for your content. And somebody can use it. Definitely use linting tools, and they are already pretty nicely set up from the Nuxt.js. Even I would do it a little bit different. I'm not going to discuss that today. So we are going to not test today because we have only like 40-30 minutes, so this makes no sense. Go for universal application, and then lately also full static. That will be the great thing. And as I'm using a VS Code, then this is my setup. And after this, you will install it, and I will do a little bit shortcut. And this is the basically setup you should have after the steps I just showed you. So what is the first time? First of all, we should test if it's running everything cool. So let's jump to Yarn dev, and then let's see if our local is running. And I hope so. This is big enough on your screen. Let me know if it's not. To the Alexei. And we should see on our local the introduction screen, our welcome screen from the Nuxt.js with the links for documentation and GitHub. It's working, and we prove that, okay, Nuxt.js is working. What is the next step? So next step from us for me, would be like to set up the Storyblok, the headless part. So let's do the first steps in the headless CMS. So let's head to Storyblok. And don't worry, I'm not going to register and create a new account. I just show you the website. There is a login button. You should do a registration, of course. And after the login, you should end something like this. So I have a new space. I'm just going to create a new space, which is basically a project. And I'm going to call it the same way that I call my repository or my Nuxt.js project. So in this case, the Blazingly Fast and Showcase. After I create a new project, and directly jumped to the content. And yes, it was so fast, it just created. There is like no installation, no setuping the PHP server or whatever on your local host or your own server, etc. That's the big plus of the headless CMS. As I am the advanced user, and probably you are also, we are going to skip next step by step. And I'm just going to explain a little bit what we are seeing right now. So first of all, we are in the content section, and this is already pre-created or default content that we created or put there, just that it's not empty. It's a home. So basically, this is our index page, our home page, and I can open it. And if I open it, I see like a preview, which is the back screen, and which should forget it for now, but we can integrate with different technologies. And right now, the most important is Nuxt.js, of course. And on the right side, there's our content, which is like hello world content, and there's a teaser, which is a component. I can change it, I can play and edit it. Also, there's a grid which contains 3 additional features, and I can like copy paste the features and create a new one. Like let's say it's feature number 4. I can reorder it or do that kind of stuff. I can save it, I can publish it, but it's like nothing happening here, and it's still not connected with the Nuxt.js. And this is the point where, okay, we have a content. So what we need to do is right now take this token, which is the access token for our Storyblok project, and connect it with our Nuxt.js project. So let's jump to the Nuxt.js. Let's add one more thing, and that's a Storyblok module for Nuxt.js. So it's called Storyblok -Nuxt. And after adding, you can jump directly to the Nuxt config. I don't have to wait this. I already installed it, of course. And here in the code, I just scroll down, and here are the modules. So I prepared, there will be a little bit cheating that I already have a lot of code coded. I just commented it. And here's the module, which is called Storyblok Nuxt module. And here I should just put my token. So, okay, let's put a token there. And this is the access token for the preview version of my content. So basically you have a different versions of the content. You have a draft version and published version. I want to see also the draft. So this is the preview token. Okay, let's restart the let's start our Nuxt.js. Okay, and if I jump back to the local host, I should see that it's recompiling. And if everything is correct, then we should see the welcome screen. And there's like nothing changed. The good part of this is like it's working, everything as it should be. But we still don't see any difference here. But I know it's connected already. So what do I need to do to show the welcome screen here, where I need to show the welcome screen? So the most important thing about the preview mode is that you should have here some URL. It's even saying like HTTPS your server address /home. And our project is lying on the localhost. So, okay, I need to take localhost and jump to the settings of my space, our project, and replace this default location. Okay, now I save it. And even I could create a multiple preview location like production with a link for Netlify or Now.sh or whatever. Save it. And then if I go back to home, I should get a Nuxt.js error. And this is good. Yes, the errors are usually not good, but in this case, the error is good because this means that we just didn't define the home path. So we are trying to achieve some home path, but there's like, as David just said, we have a dynamic routing, but we didn't define anything in the default Nuxt.js. So in this case, I'm just going to a little trick that say that this is the home page and always will be home page. So in this case, the real path in the config should be a / because we don't want to go to home. But we still have to name somehow that content, that story. So, and now it's connected. It's great. We see in our preview, which is an iframe, welcome screen from the Nuxt.js, but we still don't see anything like a connection between the components and our content and the Nuxt.js. So what I need to do the next is also create the components that we already created in the Storyblok. I need to have them also in the Nuxt.js, and basically also request it from API. So what components do I have in the Storyblok? So first of all, you can see it here is like the page, which is like a content type. So this is your template you would also use in the Nuxt.js, or this will be like template of pages, like could be a page, landing page, home page. And then we have a teaser, grid, and the features. So, okay, this is not so cool. Let's jump back to the settings and show it in the component section. So there's a component section, and in component section, you can see all the components you defined in the Storyblok. And here you can see that there's like the page, which is type content type. So this is something that you can create in the content. And there are the three other components called feature, grid, and teaser, which are nestable. And these nestable components, basically you can use in other components or on the page. And then if I click on them, I can see a schema of it. So basically the feature, it's only there's only field name. If I go to teaser, there's a field headline. And if I go to page, then there's a body field which accept other blocks. So here you can also like add those nested components. So let's jump back to the content and show you that this is a content type. It's the same thing also here. So it's not working. I show you that we have these 4 components, and now I need to also create those components in Nuxt.js. And as you could guess, I a little bit cheated. I already prepared them, and they are in my components folder. So let's start with the teaser component. So the teaser component is nothing else. It's just simple HTML with a little bit styling from Tailwind CSS, and it's rendering the blog headline. As you can see, I'm getting some block, which is a props that type of object, and I will be passing all my content from the page, from the index page in this case, down through all my components, and then I get here the headline. And there's a little tip that we have also this v-editable, which will be very important later. Keep it in your mind. Then, of course, I created a page, and it's the page. We don't know what kind of components will be shown on the page. So here we are going to use the power of the Vue.js dynamic component, which is a default component from the Vue.js, and you can basically set that if this component is a block component and this returns a teaser, we will render the teaser in this place. If it will be like a logo, then it will be logo. If it will be grid, then it will be grid. And if it will be a feature, then it will be a feature. And we are like looping through all our components in the field called blog.codebody. So what I'm talking here about is like I should show you probably how it looks like the API request, like what do you get from our Storyblok JSON. So if I open the story, I can show you here on the right side that we have something called draft JSON. And here in the draft JSON, there are like JSON that you will get into your index page, and then you can render a different component. So here I have a component teaser. So in this case, and blog.component would return this blog component teaser. So I know that I should render here a teaser, right? So it's easy. It's a JSON, and even we are working, there is already GraphQL, and you can also do it with the GraphQL. We recommend still use a REST API because it's super fast, and with a full static in the future, it will be even better. Okay, what's the next? I need to show you a grid, which is another list created by Flexbox, and it's also like going to render some components, in our case a feature, and there's a feature which is rendering only a name. Okay, I introduce you all my 4 components. Then I have a component. I need to register them in the Nuxt.js, of course. So I created a plugin because we are not going to do it a complicated way. So how to do it? Just I created component.js for plugin. Don't do that in the real world. Don't do that in real projects. Like not all of this project component should be in this folder. In this JS file. And in the feature, I heard that there should be an auto detection from the Nuxt.js. So I hope these rumors are true. Maybe Debbie could something tell later about that. And basically, I just registered them, and still I didn't recompile the project. So I forgot one last thing, and last one stack. And then in the Nuxt.js, I need to also, of course, uncomment the line where I'm importing the plugins. So, okay, we see now it's recompiling. The project is recompiling, and we should see here a difference, some change, and we didn't see. And why don't we see the problem? What's the problem? And the problem is that of course, we didn't call the API. It's easy like that. So in this case, we have an index page, which was created by default. And in the index page, we still have the all HTML structure from the generated Nuxt.js project. So let's remove the old HTML. And I'm just going to introduce the new HTML. I'm using another time the dynamic Vue.js component, and here the story.component, content.component should return a page or type of page that we want to render, because we don't know what kind of page we are going to render. In this case, it will be page. So we will not going to render any logo, so I will also delete this. Then I will uncomment all this code. It looks like a lot, but it's very easy, and it's not complicated as it looks like at the first sight. And I'm going to now explain it. So what is happening here? We just initialize a little bit of data. It's the story. So we expect an object which will be as a story, and there will be a content. And then using the asynchronous data function through the context, we are just calling the Storyblok API, and we are asking for a content from the home. So the home that I already showed you. So if I go back, this is the home, which is called home, and we can get all my data on the home. Yes, this is only the draft version, and I'm also asking only for this one fixed story, the home. It's not the dynamic. So in the real world, I hide also the left side. You should go for something like that. That your Slack is calculated from the context, that the root path that you are visiting. So if we are going to slash articles, there should be like a pattern that will be calculating or like creating the right call. So this also is happening with the version. So if you are like going to the public version, like a production server, then you probably want to get only the published content, and otherwise you would go for the draft version. So this is, but for the example, it's much easier to show you the draft version. So okay, right now I'm just going to some response from my REST API, and after save, I just save it. It should be recompiled, and if I open home, we should see the first example. And there's already like, okay, so we have a hello world example. I can change it. Super. Let's change it. Hello Zurich, because kind of we are in Zurich, I think. Virtually, we are all in Zurich, hopefully. And after save, you see that I reload it. So I can change it back, that it's not so fast. I click now save, and it will reload, and we see the world. But how this has happened, and how this you can achieve is that like you will, in the mount lifecycle, I registered a Storyblok bridge, which is listening for the publish and change event. And if the publish or change event is happening, I am basically asking Nuxt.js to reload that page. So I'm not reloading the whole page. The Nuxt.js is so good that it's basically only reload this one part that is needed. But I think like we can do so much better, because like Vue.js and Nuxt.js, there are modern frameworks, and I really would like to give the best user experience to my editors and all those people who don't care about the code, but who cares about the content. So, and that's why I think it's the best feature. One of the best features is the input event. If you listen for the input event, you can identify basically the story in our iframe, and we just simultaneously in the real time, you will just replace the content of your story with the content from the event story. We are just passing that. That's all you need to do is basically install the Storyblok Nuxt and this few lines of code, and it will be working like this. So let's reload it. The context is there. And now if I change this to Zurich, we should see it live. So now all the changes I'm going to show you, basically I can reorder, I can delete something, and I still didn't press the save. So this is, if I go back, it will say that I have unsaved changes, and I can say like, okay, I don't want to see the changes, and go back, and all the previous content is there. So let's change it to Zurich. I don't know, let's copy something here, and this live preview is great, I like it. Sorry. So still, this is so simple. I didn't show you. I talked something about the articles on beginning, and to show you that how can you do it really fast in the headless CMS, and why it's not so complicated. So if I want to build my own blog post, definitely I want to have articles there. And I cannot help you with writing the articles. I cannot write it for you, but I definitely can help you with to putting those articles into the system and make them available for your Nuxt.js project or framework. So first of all, you need to create a component called article because we need a new page and we will not do it on the default page. So let's create a new page that will be called article. And let's say that it will be a content type and not a nest table. So, okay, I created a new page type or new content type. And now I need to define a few fields there. So definitely I want to have a title. Okay. I would like to have an intro text. Let's call it intro. And then I would like to have an author. Cool. And then usually you would have some text. You can make the text like nestable text from other components. But in this case, I will keep it simple. So we just create the text and set up it like a markdown or the rich text editor. It's up to us. So like you just jump here to the text and let's say like, okay, so it could be a rich text editor or the markdown editor. Markdown editor is like markdown, and the rich text, there's also like ways to use the classes and other much bigger stuff. I like the markdown because it's much easier to write. So, okay, let's say it will be markdown. Then my title, it will be a text. Okay, it will be text. I'm not going to talk about the other options here, but let's jump to the intro. I think it should be a little bit longer, so let's make it text area, but not editable, not like not possible to style it. And then the authors, I would love to have a single option that I can choose from some options because there could be a multiple author. So I will be the first author, let's say. Let's copy paste it because I cannot write my name. And then the second author, let's put a Debbie name. And I definitely not going to write the whole name because I would make a mistake there and that would be so bad. So I have two authors and I created basically or defined my content type article. So I still didn't create my first article. So let's jump and create the first article. I would like to keep all my articles, of course, in a one folder because I don't like those flat structure where you have 1,000 of contents and you don't know where you are and what you have. So let's create a folder and let's call this folder articles. And let's say that here we can create only articles. So, okay, I have a folders with articles and let's create the first article. So what we should see is, of course, the name, my first article, because this is the common name for every first article. And we have a new page. Of course, we see error, Nuxt.js error, because we didn't define a path like that for the Nuxt.js. So it's like makes sense that Nuxt.js saying like, oh, hey, doesn't exist. Let's focus on the content. Really, there is like no way that I will cover also how to create a content article. And I think like you can do it because I already show you how to create a path. So I'm going for now for form only, and I'm going to edit only the form. And I prepare some fancy name. So I just check like title with the Nuxt.js is awesome. And I copy paste some text from the Nuxt website. So hopefully nobody mind. And Debbie will be an author. And yeah, I am not going to write any article right now. I just put it there as a sample that you can put like so much stuff as you want. Okay, let's save it. And we have our first article. And it's basically you can get it the URL on articles/my first article. But as I mentioned, we would like to feature it on the homepage. So how to feature it? Because there's still no way to feature it. I can add a new blog, but I can get feature, grid, and teaser. There is no way to feature it as a featured articles. So I like to create a new component for that. So go to we are going to components, and we are going to create one new component. And we will call it featured articles. And in this case, we will leave it to be a nice table. So, okay, we are done. And basically, we just want to show it some articles. So let's call it the articles field. And let's say that this, of course, should be like teasers. So it will be multiple teasers. And in that case, I would like to have a multi options that I will choose from a multi option. And the source in this case will be the stories. And as we already defined the articles folder for it, I just defined that I would like to choose only from the stories that are included in the article folder. So, okay, cool, article folder. So let's save it. I have a schema. I created the component, so I can use it and I can add it to the homepage. So let's go and see here. Oh, yeah, there's a featured articles. And I can choose my first article here. So I basically set up my data and I can show it into draft.json. And here, if I jump featured Of course, there's like too many featured stuff. And here is my component. It's called featured articles, and it contains a field or a key value, which is an array of IDs or UUIDs of the articles I just managed to create. So this is the UID of my first article. Okay, but I don't see it on my website. Why? And the simple answer is like we didn't create the component for that in the Nuxt.js. So let's create a component for that. Quickly close this. And of course I cheated, I prepared it. So it's simple. It's a UL, it's another list, a flexbox, of course. And there's also a title, which I didn't define a schema. So I need to fix this one. And then there you can see it's article teaser, which we didn't mention in the Storyblok, but why? So of course, as a developer, I like to structure my content, and I like to structure that, okay, the article teaser is a teaser of the article, and it's a good idea to have it as a separate component in the Nuxt.js. So in this case, I basically created an article teaser which accepts some article content, which is getting basically the content, and this content this content is title, intro, and outro. Give me a second. I just get a little sip. So the article teaser will render only a title, intro, and outro. We don't care about the text right now because that will be a lot of styling, a lot of coding, and it's a little bit styling there. And it's accept article props, article content, which is an object. So nothing complicated, simple code, and there's like a little hover effect. So okay, this article teaser. Forget this one. And here you can see that we are going to get it from the store. So I will have to fill it also in the store. That I will show it a little bit later. And in this case, I just need to uncomment it also in component.js. That we register it also in the Nuxt.js as a component. So right now the Nuxt.js should recompile. Oh, that was a fast, really. And the last thing we should do is that we should see here that it's already here is the highlight. I hope you see this thin line, and I can click it and even say that, okay, the featured articles are here, but it's not showing no content. So the first of all, we need to fix the schema that we did add there the title, which was the type text. So I just give it a very fast there that we see something, featured articles. Oh, mistake, come on. And save it. Yes, and we see it. Okay, so we have a connection, it's working, but we don't see the content. And why don't we see it? It's because we are sending only the UIDs of this article, my first article. But we need to have the title and intro text and the outer. So how I did it is like I used in the indexed page, I used the fetch function. And using this fetch function, I'm going to fetch my articles folder. You can see it here, that I'm going to one more time get something from the Storyblok API, if I didn't already get it. And I'm going to check only for the stories that are included in the folder articles, and I want to only the draft. I mean, in the real world, you would do it a little bit more complicated and with a little bit more logic, but you are probably getting what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to get my articles from my website. And then I'm going to save them, in this case, in the store. And then I'm going to say that I already loaded it. If I show it in my store, which is super easy, is only one reference.js file. And basically, it's an empty array of articles. Then loaded, it's 0, so it wasn't loaded. And then I'm having a mutation that is setting and setting loading. So in the best case, I will fetch it. I will get all my articles here. Only the data I need, of course. And then in the featured articles, I'm going to get it from the store, and I'm going to return only those which UIDs I choose in the front end. Okay, sounds simple, and it should working. Yeah, it's working. So I already see the preview of the first article, and I can choose it, and then I have to save it. Yeah, and if I click here, we should see it, and can I remove it. Okay, but this is only one article. I was talking about multiple articles, so let's jump back to the article folder and duplicate this first article. So copy, let's call it second, and duplicate, and let's create out the third one. And this one, I will change domain to Storyblok that we see a difference because I want to show you one more thing. Okay, I can do that. And the Storyblok article, I also changed the headline to the Storyblok is cool. Why not? Because I think it did. Save it and jump back. So we have 3 articles, and I can use also this browser to jump back to the home, and I'm going to choose also other 2. So right now I have very nice. I have 3 articles, but I would like to order them because those are featured. And you can order them using the dates, but in the case of featured articles, I love to pick myself the order. So how you would do it is that you can do it like already in the Storyblok. You see, I can like move the Storyblok to the last place, but it's not here in the front end. And this is what particularly I really love about the Nuxt.js and the JAMstack front end frameworks based on the JavaScript. That to achieve this functionality is literally 3 lines of code. So if I jump to the Nuxt.js and I just uncomment these 3 lines of code, which there are 4, but the first one is like just a comment. So common, and it is just basically a sort function, which is defining how we are going to sort that. If the index of the UID I was getting in the payload is smaller than the second article, then this one will be first and this one will be second. So all I need is like these 3 lines of code. I save it, and then I need to probably reload it because of cache. And in this case, you see already Storyblok is the last one. And if I drag and drop it somewhere, then now it's the first one. If I go in the middle, then it's the last one. And that's cool. I mean, like, wow, it's so super easy. I just created something that needs a little bit more styling, and I'm still maybe under 30 minutes, I guess. And then I can use the same component, which I can change the name to do. Like, okay, I would like to have a Nuxt.js articles, not featured articles. And let's say that there will be not an article but Storyblok. And then I'm using still the same data. I'm not doing more API calls. And if you do a full static, then it will be even much faster. So cool. I can save it, and that's it. Basically, this was I wanted to show you, and maybe a little bit few notes at the end. I was thinking about as Debbie was talking. So there's like she called like generate it. So maybe you would think about how to generate it, and you basically can only call endpoint, which will give you all the links, so all these home articles and stuff like that. Then in the code, you're already in the Nuxt.js. So to deploy this thing to the Netlify or Nowsage is literally a matter of 5 minutes. And it will call the generate function and generate everything. And I could talk about a lot of stuff, but I don't want to create this like too much stuff. So let's jump back to the slides. And if you want to continue in what I show you, I wrote the article about it. And basically it's like also for beginners. You should know something about the JavaScript. You don't have to know a lot about Nuxt.js or Vue.js because I'm explaining a lot of there. And it's like how to create a website which is multi-language with multi-language support and everything is included. And at the end, you will have basically a blog or portfolio with multi-language articles. And that's it. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I am able to answer all your questions, and I hope so there will be some questions. If you have any questions at all, you will find me on the Twitter. Just like write me a direct message or anything, or you can also go for Discord. I will point you to the Discord of the Storyblok, or just you will find me also in the Nuxt.js Discord. I'm there. I'm using it also. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Samuel. That was intense and awesome. And seeing the site being connected to CMS without trying to build your code into CMS and instead making CMS do the right thing and all under 30 minutes, that was pretty impressive. So I don't have any swag from Storyblok, but because my internet connection went down and I was reconnecting, I just did this. So
cool.
It's like be next. Yeah. So
exactly. Be next.
Be next. Yeah.
Any questions?
Guys, let's write some questions into the YouTube comments right now for Samuel. And while the guys are writing, I'm gonna refresh the chat just in case I'm I've lost some. So you actually answered a question that I had. I was wondering if Storyblok can offer the opportunity to do both, like fetching content during runtime and fetching content during build time. And yeah, in the last couple of seconds, I've seen that both is possible together with Nuxt generate. So you have mentioned the multi-language support, Samuel. How is that? How does that look on the CMS site?
I can show you. It's very easy. I can even show you in the space I just created. So basically, this is you don't see my screen. May I share the screen?
Yes.
Or sharing. You see. So basically, it's super easy because all you need to go is like go settings. There's languages. Languages are included in the free level, so you don't have to even pay it. We are crazy. You don't have to pay for that. You just choose your language, and you can like I will add the English. You can change it to like Wookiee if you want. Go for Woo, and I will just change this to Wookiee because I am Star Wars geek, of course, and I wrote it wrong. Oh man. Okay, you don't see nothing. So I just save it. I just define a new language. And then if I go to content, I have this here is the drop down, and I can choose from the languages. And basically it's on the JSON, everything is translated. In this case, per each component, you can override it. And in the schema, as you could see here, this name field, I just say that this is a translatable. So you just define which field are translatable, and you will get it translated. Otherwise, you will get a default language, and that's it.
Awesome. Thanks for showing that. Okay, questions, guys. I'm gonna poke everybody in. I think everybody's just overwhelmed by all the goodness that comes with Storyblok. So.
Hope so. I really hope
yes,
so.
I'm going to give them a few more minutes to type their questions, and then another one from myself, just because I'm here and and I can ask all the questions I want. How does Storyblok recommend to co-deploy changes to both parts? Like, for example, you're defining, making changes to schema on the CMS side, and then you also need to create components on Nuxt.js side to display this. Like, how is this orchestrated?
There are like orchestrated. For me personally, it depends on the size of your project you are working. If you are going to really crazy, then you can define your own basically folder where you write your JavaScript, and we have a management API. So you can, everything I showed you, manually click in, you can just export and import. And even now, I could like call my management API using my access token, which is a little bit higher, like authorization token. And then I get all the data as the JSONs and also the schemas, all the components definitions into my system, and I can edit it, and then I can export it back. That would be like going crazy, like super huge project. And if you are small, you just I really like the workflow. Like you are clicking, and if you do a mistake or something, you just don't use, like you get the REST API with JSON, and you just don't use it in the Nuxt.js or in your framework. It's up to you. So you will find a problem. So that's it.
Yep.
Cool. Thanks for that, Samuel. And I think we've got a question, or actually two questions got typed. I'll start from the top. In what situations would you go for tree-level translations? Slugs, stacks of content. The question is from Julian.
Yeah, there's a possibility, like we originally had the three options going for a multi-language, because you can go for basically this option I showed you. You are translating on the field level. So in that case, your content or the structure of your website is always same for all languages. But if you want to have a different layout, like for the German as for English website, so you want like to use a different section or different component, then it's better to go that you will create a different folder structure, and your like root will be like folders that's English, German, etc. as you want. So the language you're using, and then you will create a website. And then there is like there is a shortcut that you can like say like this English story is representing by this German story, or you can duplicate this story to this language, and it will just duplicate all your content into that folder, and then you will edit it as you want, of course. And so that more or less answers also the question, because if you want to have a different languages, different structure or different layouts, then I would do that in that case, more or less. And this is like happens sometimes, not usually for my kind of projects I was working, which were smaller projects. And then there was a third option which we killed because it was overcomplicated, mixture of both of them. And that was a lot of time ending in the hell, like the customers and everybody was like, okay, so there was happening like multiple translation on the one thing. And okay, I'm not going to into that.
All right, I hope that answers the question. Let's jump to the next one. How scalable is Storyblok to a big company-sized project?
As much as you need. So I'm checking on the site also the questions on the YouTube. So yeah, you can scale up. There's also, of course, there's like free level up to enterprise levels, and enterprise levels we are like big companies that it's like they are using a big companies. I can not sure like all of them which I may mention, but Pizza Hut, for example, in the Australia, or it's called Education First. And you can find also some of the logos on our website, and then we'll get you the point what I'm talking about. But there are like also projects which have multiple spaces, and you can between those spaces move the content and go up. So there's like really, I think for the headless CMS projects in general, there's like no stop. There's like sky is the limit.
Thank you.
And I hope that Debbie will maybe answer a little bit, that if we will be able in the future, like render only the parts of our aesthetically, only the website that were changed, that would be like super cool. No? Okay. No. I still hope. Yeah, I know you will do that somehow.
I have a question before we do with another question from YouTube chat. So basically, you haven't spoken about the custom UI components which you can literally build inside the Storyblok, right?
Yes.
So this is a scalability on a completely different side. So you can build custom blocks and custom output feeds, right? With Vue.js for Storyblok to extend the functionality. Can you maybe talk more about this feature?
So yeah, we have options. So basically we are headless CMS, and like a lot of headless CMS or the cloud services, the people think about it. There's like only the options or like the features they are offering. That's all, and there's nothing more. So, and in our case, you are able using the Vue.js just build your own options and create a custom field. And those fields then you can use. So as I showed you the Markdown and the rich text editor, you can create a Cloudinary field, which we already have, but as a sample. And then you have like a field where you can choose, like you will add your ID, and then you will see all your pictures for the Cloudinary. And this is like, in this case, you can create anything. So there are people who are created like Tailwind custom fields. So basically, you can imagine something like a webflow with a lot of tabs. They are clicking through it, and then they are like choosing and styling those components directly in the Storyblok. And they're like companies that are creating their own custom plugins. We call it more or less custom fields because they are in the fields level, and then they are already like we just launched in the beta, and more or less it's going live also like hopefully in the next weeks, as Debbie said, like next week I am sure. Basically the application, and this is also like where the Nuxt come to the power of the Nuxt, because we were waiting to create the authorization between the Nuxt.js and the Storyblok. And using that, you can create your own application, like single page application in the Nuxt.js. Like let's say you want to I don't know, like Trello board, and you can then consume our API, and it will show inside our Storyblok as another section where you can see the status of every story in the space. So basically, it will be an application that is running in Now.sh, Netlify, or even on your local host or Amazon servers, and then you just have your own icon inside the Storyblok where you can do anything. So yeah, there's really your imagination is where it stopped.
This is fantastic. Thank you for the answer. So I think we have some more questions on the YouTube channel, right?
Should I read them out?
Yeah.
All right, the one that we haven't answered yet. You can define a preview template for content type, asks Hussein. How do you use it? Would be cool if in list view that preview template would create value for one of columns. We would get a preview column.
You can define a preview template for a content.
Guys, can you maybe write a bit more explanation to that one? I'm not sure. Samuel, did you get it?
Let's reframe it in this way. Can you actually create like a templates and reuse them all between your projects?
Yes, you can. As I said, you can export it. So basically, you can export all your components and then import it into other one. If you are like smaller, if you are talking about the smaller projects, and then if you are going for like agency and partner programs, you can create your shared components that you can share between all your projects. So yes, the answer is yes. It's of course I would say premium feature. It's not only like free. Is it free if you code it by yourself using the management API and you can use a little bit terminal. So it's not that complicated at all. So yeah. And what was okay, templates, and then there's about the templates. You can do a preset of the content, which is interesting for which is maybe that guy was asking. I was not sure right now that you can also do a preset for your components. So if you create your content, your developer can set up the preset of the values. If you have their like styling or anything, that if you create a new page, like new article page, there is already like sample article filled in, that you are not starting always from no content at all, and you have to handle all the errors, etc. So this is also interesting. Any other questions?
Not that I am. There is a tricky one. When would you not use Storyblok?
Oh, this is an interesting one. Oh.
Yeah, it's not so complicated. I mean, like, depends. I mean, we are not a database. So we are not database. What does it mean? It's like we are there for also e-commerce, but we are the storytelling. We are the part where you should write your stories and where you should preview your story. You should connect us. So we are there not for the security. If you need don't store the credit cards in the Storyblok at all. I'm not saying that we are not secure. I'm not saying we are not built for that kind of use cases, because they are like e-commerce systems which are built for that, and they are specialized in that. And we are specialized in the stories and how you are building the story and the preview of your content. And this is good about the JAMstack and the headless approach in general, also with the Nuxt.js, that you can connect all those applications and I would say third-party applications that build together a great product, but they are all focused in their small part to create the best product. So we are the CMS, which is content management system, and there are an e-commerce system, which is for e-commerce. So that would be my answer, I guess. Yeah, and I would use it right now for majority of the website. I'm like, it's not so big difference for me because to connect it, it's super fast. So I have not problem. Like if I would do a easy blog post, I don't need to keep it in Markdown or in GitHub. I would definitely go for Storyblok. It depends if you want to have your file in your, like if you want to have it offline, of course, then it maybe makes sense. But this is like 0.5%. I don't know how much. You know what I mean, I guess. We are all done. It's out.
Yeah, I guess that's a good answer. So I would say use Storyblok if you are about to use a CMS. Don't use WordPress. Sorry, WordPress.
I didn't say that.
All right. Okay, so looks like we ran out of YouTube questions. Anything for Debbie still, guys, on second thoughts? I'll give you maybe a few seconds if you type real quick.
I'll speak just quickly on something that was mentioned in your talk. So yeah, we are going to have something as well to do with components, like global components, so that you're not going to have to register them like like what Simon was showing. So that's coming very, very soon as well. It could be released next week or the week after. There's so much happening this month. So it's crazy.
Yeah, sounds like next week or the week after, we gotta watch out for the next release notes and for the release. Looks like a lot of things are coming.
I would say literally follow us on Twitter and sign up for our newsletter in case you missed anything, because then at the end of the month you're going to get all that cool stuff. And anyone as well who's writing blogs and showcasing Nuxt projects, send them in to us and we'll feature them in the newsletter as well. So you could be famous.
Sweet.
I like the Nuxt. I like the newsletter.
Thank you. Oh.
You should all subscribe to the Nuxt newsletter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing it as we speak.
Well done. Easy as that. That's it. Cool.
All right. I have to say this was awesome. Thank you guys a lot for joining us and for sharing all your wisdom, all your energy, most of your presentation, the style I really, really like. You just go for it. And the Taekwondo part blew my mind. Yeah. Also, special thanks for Debbie for actually stopping there to attract attention of web developers to accessibility and performance. This is super important, and normally you have to, tweak a lot of things to get it right. And with Nuxt, it's actually so easy to start, and it takes away much work. So I guess this is it for me. I really don't want to say goodbye. I want to just chat here with you guys forever.
We're not open to beers and
Yeah. I can get a beer and we can chat.
We can do it afterwards, but not on YouTube. So I wanted also to thank you.
Otherwise,
drink beer. Who knows?
To thank everyone, especially to Olga, to being our host today. So thank you. Applause. And this was
my pleasure.
This was really first Taekwondo and the second Fast and Furious all together, and both awesome technologies which work great together, and I can only recommend them. If you're using Vue or anything else, just go for it, and this is fantastic.
Yeah, I guess if the steam train of Debbie and Samuel did not roll over you and did not persuade you to switch to full static, I don't know what will.
And for now, we want to say goodbye to you, and thanks to all for being part of this nice event, and maybe see you later, one day again.
Yeah,
so
in the real
for
world.
Now,
I'm hopeful in the real world.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks
Goodbye,
everyone
everyone.
for tuning in from all over
Thanks
the world.
Yes. Thanks, dear viewers. I was super happy to see people from all over the world. This was a surprise.
Yeah. So goodbye.